Welcome to Our Town, a 30-minute podcast brought to you by Best Bark Communications, a small but fierce client-centered marketing company powered by decades of experience and well-established business networks.
This is Andy Ockershout, and this is Our Town, and we're especially delighted to have one of our very, very special people, a very dear friend, who is the Senior Regional Marketing Manager of Yelp, Tara Lewis. I want to read something that somebody wrote about Tara that I think captures her in a lot of ways. And then we'll get into her Yelp connection, because we're here about Yelp. Tara Lewis is the kind of woman who orders turtle soup in a restaurant, maybe not every time she goes to the restaurant, because seriously, everybody doesn't have turtle soup on the menu, but at least once so she can try it. Tara is an adventurer who loves new things, whether it's a new food to try, new clubs to discover, or new people to meet. She's an extrovert with a great smile who you can't help but want to become friends with. And if you're executive at Yelp, you're smart enough to want to have her on your team. Starting as the community manager for DC just over 7 years ago, Tara, or Tara L., as you may know her on Yelp, is now in charge of marketing for Yelp's entire Southeast region. Tara, welcome to Our Town. I'm one of the people that I got to admit to you, when I first heard the word Yelp, I thought it happened when you kicked a dog.
I know. I remember the moment that I told you I was working somewhere and you had no idea.
Well, I saw that the thing you discovered online, how you got the job.
Yeah.
When you read that description, it looked like they wrote it for you.
I know. I couldn't even believe that was a real job description. I almost thought it was too good to be true.
That's right. Well, it wasn't.
It wasn't.
It's one of the few things you'll find out in life, because usually those things are too good to be true.
Oh, yeah.
So how did you get connected with Yelp?
I'd actually been working for startups before, and I'd been laid off actually twice by 2 different startups in the same summer. And so I kind of said, I'm going to take the summer off and just kind of relax and go to the beach for a little bit. And then the day I went back online, I actually saw a job posting for Yelp, and the description was very vivid and colorful. And it was like, are you passionate about your city? Do you have fire in your belly? Do you like to adventure and this and that? And so, and do you write, and that was the position for community manager, and it was all about championing the city.
Well, Tara, but before Yelp, which we're going to get into, I want to go back to, not to the beginning, but you're from the suburbs, from Silver Spring. Your mom Jamaican, your father Russian. You're American. You're the epitome of what America's about, and you went to school in the suburbs.
I sure did. I went to Albert Einstein High School in Kensington, Maryland.
That's a hoi polloi school, isn't it?
No, not quite.
And then you were a participant. You were a diver, which I've been telling you for 10, 15 years. I'd like to see you dive sometime.
Yeah, there's not as many diving boards around as you think. They don't exist anymore. But you've been watching the Olympics, of course. I have been. The conditions have been intense for the divers. Have you checked them out? It's like the pool smells bad. It's turning colors. There's wind conditions.
Turn green.
Yeah, I feel so bad for them. They're getting through it.
The pool is dirtier than the water, than the ocean. That's unusual.
I know. But hey, that's what champions are made of. They have to figure it all out.
And they all did it.
Yeah.
And you and your sister went to school. She's older than you, but you're both sort of like paralleled each other growing up.
Yeah, just 2 years apart.
And you're both Maryland suburban girls.
Yes.
And then you got a job at the University of Maryland on
I did.
On your summer break.
I did, because I was looking for internships that were sports related, sports marketing related, and I loved the University of Maryland athletic program, and I was going to be home for the summer anyway, so I pitched it to them, because at the time they didn't have sort of a structured intern program. So I pitched, do you guys need a marketing intern? And I kind of ended up doing a lot of errands. I was like running around all the promotional materials for their soccer team all around Maryland, dropping things off. It was a lot of that.
You were a true intern.
Yeah, I was scrappy.
I know what it is. There goes me. That's what I started.
Yeah.
We called it a management trainee, but it was really an intern.
Yeah.
And then you got a job while you were still in school, or maybe you were out of school. You graduated from Cornell, which is one of the premier schools in America.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Ivy League, the big Ivy League. And you went to work and did some work with George Michaels at Channel 4.
Oh, yeah, that was exciting. I actually did a program for a bit called Cornell in Washington, and it was kind of my way to be home for a semester, but living downtown, because we actually have a Cornell house downtown.
And they were giving you credits at school?
Yeah, because it was part of a broad program, but it was sort of my way of being back home, but still enrolled in school. And part of that, you have to have an internship, and I kept that internship through the summer. So I applied for it in the traditional way, probably online, went through an interview process, and so I spent, I guess it was probably about 6 months or so with them.
But
until
that
I
was a
went back
great
to school.
experience for you,
Oh
wasn't it?
my gosh, yes, for me, especially growing up watching George Michael all the time, and then sitting in the newsroom with him every day was so exciting.
Everything I know about George, and he was a very, very dear friend, that he was a taskmaster. Everybody that worked for George paid the price. He was a kick-ass guy. When he made his shows, that's what he wanted, perfection. Is that correct?
Yes, I could see it, but also everyone really respected him in the newsroom. And,
Absolutely.
I kept my head down. I was an intern, so I was spending a lot of the time charting games and stuff. So I shouldn't really be involved in anything else but making sure I don't miss any of these replays, because they're going to ask for the chart at the top of the news. And if I missed that close-up, I don't want to be the one. So
that's right.
I just kept my head down and focused. But George had his own way of being really kind and showing, sweet gestures, to people when they would least expect it.
Well, that was good training for you to work with somebody who was a perfectionist, because you could see the payoff. For George, that paid off. He did his Sunday show when there was no cable.
Yeah, I know.
And now cable is ruined everything. Too much cable has ruined it all.
Yeah, but there were moments where I also saw him show extreme patience with people. Like we would do Sports in the Minute at night, where they let the interns run through the preview of the morning snippets of the highlights, and he would take his time and say, "Okay, that was good. Run it back again. Give you some insight." He could have run off and gone home right away, and he always kind of stayed a little longer.
One George, a good man.
Yeah.
Now, how in the world did you end up at Home Team Sports?
Oh,
Or was it Home Team Sports?
It was Comcast SportsNet at the time.
It was. Oh, it had changed.
It probably had just changed. Because I knew a lot of the people that were at HTS because they were still there.
The HTS people, which became Comcast SportsNet, but then you joined them from
Yes.
a job right out of school, practically, right?
It was right out of school, and I was looking for, internships in sports that whole summer, and then there wasn't really anything open for entry level, and then so I was like, hey, I'll have another job and then just intern. So I kind of pitched that idea. You see a trend, I pitch things sometimes. So I pitched the idea. At first they were like, yeah, come intern, that's fine. I didn't want to get paid, I just wanted more experience. And they were like, actually, you need to be enrolled in school to do it. And I saw that there was a receptionist position open.
I remember
so
that.
That's when I met you.
Right. The receptionist, I have bagged to people for 50, 60 years. The way I got in the door was starting at the bottom.
Yes.
It was a messenger, an intern, whatever we called it. The receptionist was a great entry level for a lot of people.
Yes. And you
A
also
lot of people should have jumped at that opportunity.
but you even just the things you would tell me when I was a receptionist gave me a lot of insight into just how the world operates. I remember you used to tell me, you're actually in a great position here. You're a neutral. You can get insight into every single department. People trust you and confide in you, and you're able to sort of stand back and watch what's happening. And I always am very mindful of that. And I also am mindful of the fact that, receptionists and assistants, are the key holder to many things and should be highly valued. And you gave me a different perspective because I kind of felt like I'm just the receptionist.
I preach that all the time. We got a problem now with Kenesha, but image is important to a broadcaster. And the fact on the telephone, you had a great method, and certainly personally, you're gorgeous, and people coming in.
Thank you.
It represented our company at the entrance. And when you come in the entrance, you get an opinion of a country. Well, who's answering the phone and who's looking at you?
Yeah,
it worked great.
I loved everybody there.
And then we're going to get into the startling career of those years. And I can't remember. It's been a long time, Tara, but we'll be right back with some more information and the big information about Yelp.
Hi, Tony Sybil here to tell everybody about our wonderful restaurants at Washington Harbor. Tony and Joe's, the best seafood in the city. Nick's Riverside Grill, wonderful chops and steaks. Wonderful views of the Kennedy Center, Roosevelt Island, the Roslyn skyline. Spectacular. 2 bars outside right on the water. Fabulous food. For dinner reservations, call 202-944-4545. It's really a great experience. We'll see you down at Tony and Joe's or Nick's Riverside Grill.
You're listening to Our Town with Andy Ockershausen. Brought to you by Best Bark Communications.
This is Andy Ockershausen, and we're speaking with Tara Lewis, the Senior Marketing Director of Yelp. When I first heard the name Yelp, and I first heard it from Tara Lewis, that's how late I'm getting in things, I said, what in the world is Yelp?
Yeah.
Please, I said, tell me about Yelp. And you did.
Yes. Well, Andy, it's funny. You weren't the only person when I first started at Yelp that had no idea
I believe
what
it.
that was.
But your mom and dad didn't know either.
No. I mean, even a lot of my friends didn't really know what Yelp was at the time because it was still a startup. But it's a website and a mobile app that connects people to great local businesses through reviews that people write. And it's all kinds of businesses, not just restaurants. I think a lot of people know it as a source for restaurants, but that's only actually less than 25% of the businesses on Yelp.
Well, don't you have a system where people can call up to Yelp and complain or call up and praise them and they put it online?
Well, you actually can review Yelp on Yelp because it is a business. So if you look at Yelp's business listing, people say exactly how they feel about the site and how it operates as a business. And, Yelp really thrives off feedback. Our whole entire business model is on feedback. So we're always trying to see what we can do to improve not only the experience for the business owners, but also people using the site.
Well, it's much bigger than just a restaurant guide.
It's much bigger. I mean, you can get anything. I mean, dentists, hairdressers, contractors. I mean, everything that I ever need to find, I look for first on Yelp. I mean, obviously I work for it, but I could never really market something that I wasn't using all the time. It's not my personality. And I use it for everything.
It's a resource. More
for
than
everything.
just
Yeah, especially because
one.
I travel a lot. It's like if I'm in a hotel and I'm like, I want sushi. I have no idea what's nearby. Am I in a neighborhood that's safe? Right there, I have a resource of how many steps I need to take to get there. I can call ahead, figure out what to order. I can actually place an order online. There's so many things, and it transcends
huge
food. Yeah,
the organization. It's
Yes.
done very well too.
yes,
Financially, I mean, it's been a success.
Mm-hmm.
It reminds me somewhat that I don't really like to brag about it, but the Tesla guy, there's the West Coast brains, which is the Yelp guy.
Yes.
They're in a different world out there. People are saying that he's not making a profit. And he says, that's not a quarter. I'm looking 10 years from now.
Yeah.
What is going to happen? And the Yelp guy's the same way. He's thinking way out of the box, correct?
Yeah, well, the actual
boss, your
yes,
big boss.
he used to be with PayPal. Jeremy used to be with PayPal, and he was working like at a startup incubator or something of the sort. And he just moved to San Francisco. He's actually from Northern Virginia.
Oh, is that right? A local.
Yeah, and I believe he was in Harvard at the time. He dropped out, I think, of maybe grad school, and then moved back to San Francisco and was looking for a dentist or a doctor, and he couldn't really figure out like how to find the best versions. And so he's an engineer, and he started trying to figure out a way to make that work, and that's kind of how Yelp started.
Well, I didn't get this because it's my fault, but before you went to Yelp, you met someone that put you on an opportunity with Steve Case and
Yes.
the Revolutionary Health.
Yes, and that was random. Yeah,
That was opening your door up too, correct?
yeah, it changed my world. That's why I really do feel
That's
like
when you left Comcast
yeah,
to go with that.
everything
revolution.
happens for a reason. I was at Comcast SportsNet. I was still very happy there. I knew that maybe there was going to be a time that I
You
took
were
a
sales
different path.
assistant. You'd been promoted.
Yeah, but I was at a happy hour, actually. I had a flat tire that day, too, so I almost didn't go. And then I met some people that were just really nice to me. I couldn't tell if they were just nice or in a good mood because it was happy hour, but they liked me, and they said, you should come work for us. And I didn't really know what they were talking about, so I went home and tried to Google anything I could find. The site didn't exist yet, but I kind of figured out who was backing it, who was involved, and I said, this sounds legitimate.
You got some big names out, correct?
Some big names, Colin
Huge
Powell,
name.
Ron Klain, Steve Case. Yeah, they were all involved.
And that was a great experience for you to be in that atmosphere.
Yeah.
And are they still? It's still something going with the Revolution.
Yes,
I know that.
the site. Well, Revolution LLC has a lot of different companies. Revolution Health was sold to Waterfront Media. I think it was in 2008 or so.
Weren't they commuting you to between Washington
Yeah,
and Brooklyn?
I was going to New York a lot back then because I was
the company.
doing account management at the time, and after that sort of transition, I was up there all the time.
It's just great how you meshed right in there.
Yeah,
But
I never knew what startup. I
and
thought it
that's-
was for nerds.
There's a certain point in the growth of that company, you decided to lay out and wait for something else, and not even knowing it. Is that correct?
Yeah, pretty much. I had no idea what was next, but I always used to think in my head, I wonder if I could just find a way to monetize my knowledge about going out and being social. And I always had that in the back of my head, but then it literally almost fell on my
But you
lap. I mean, I
love
went
sports.
after the job.
You wanted to
I
stay in
did.
sports, and I know you
Yeah.
went down and met with Mr. Leonsis.
Oh, yeah, that was...
Did you not?
Yes, and it was crazy. So Ted was on the board of my last company.
Oh, yeah, right. They were all, that's a click. They're all in everything.
Yes, and he's still... So he was my Facebook friend. Very limited profile. But one day I was thinking, you you can always learn. Like I would take an internship right now if there was an area of business that I had no knowledge in, and also to keep my relationships fresh. So I wanted to still stay at Revolution Health, but I was like, I miss sports and I kind of want to stay involved and I have ideas. So I sent him a Facebook message. And I think I was 25, so I'm like, what was I thinking? But obviously it worked out.
Long time ago.
And it was well written. It was kind of paralleling where I was at my life with when he sort of started writing his book about his goals. And he responded back and said, hey, come on into my office. We'll have a chat with no real agenda. And I could not get over his generosity to meet with somebody that didn't have any immediate thing to offer him.
You must have impressed him with his. He likes to do the talk online. I know that.
I think he had a little time and he has a big heart.
Right.
So he said, "Come on over," and we had a great chat. I learned so much about sort of where he started in business and some of his
monumental sports, and he told you about everything.
Even before that, even in Georgetown, he was talking about how his first business was like a slushy ice station at Georgetown, and how eventually he started having somebody stand there for him, and then he was basically creating residual income when he was in college.
Fabulous character.
Absolutely. I could not believe that he was
snow cones they call them, right?
Yeah.
But it didn't happen though. Although you had good dialogue.
I did some consulting, like pro bono consulting with the Mystics for a little bit in the Caps, and so I'd pretty much send them all my ideas and see if they need help with guerrilla marketing and things like that. So it was just an open relationship, and I had, it helped me kind of stay involved, and I love brainstorming anyway.
Well, that was from your experience at Home Team Sports or Comcast SportsNet. They were our games. We carried those games. And you know all the characters and the people.
Yeah, my dad was a physical education teacher growing up, so I feel like my whole life was revolving around sports until college, and it kind of felt like I was, a void in my life. So
then Yelp publish something online, and the rest is history.
Yes, and I remember, how some job interviews, you're supposed to kind of hold back and not show your cards. I showed every card. I was like, I'm not going to not get this job for lack of enthusiasm. I'm like, I don't even need to negotiate. I need this job. And if I hadn't gotten it, at least I know that, there wasn't a doubt that I would do anything for this job, essentially.
It looked like it was written for you.
It was. And then the more I started going through the interview process, I realized, a lot deeper, what the site really was like. So I started becoming more of a user. And things happened quickly, but, I never saw a job posting that fit my personality and my background more than that one.
And then it was just one city. You were only doing the city of Washington. You weren't even in the suburbs when you started, right?
Yeah, I think I was still living in Silver Spring at the time, but I was doing the whole area, essentially. Right. So focused on D.C., but also doing events in, the suburbs of Maryland and Virginia, too, from time to time.
Well, how do you have an event? Is it your event you go to, plan the whole thing? Somebody else doesn't come to you and say, we're getting married, do me a party. No, it's not like that.
No, it usually starts with figuring out a venue. And we want to be able to host as many people as we can while still making sure that we honor the business that's hosting it and making sure that it reflects them really well. So first you have to have a venue. Then you kind of figure out what the theme that makes sense around that would be, and then which partnering businesses want to get involved. And it's really an opportunity to showcase all these local businesses and make them come to life, because everybody's on the site, reading about these businesses. Now they can actually touch and taste and experience and have a face behind the business. And it's a great opportunity to hopefully have those people then check out the
And you offer this service for free, correct?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the site is free.
You don't pay.
No, the events are just purely to connect the online community with offline local businesses, as well as we always have a nonprofit that we partner with, so it's suggested donation. So we don't make money on the events. It's actually just to connect everybody.
Right. Well, when I first started hearing about this, I couldn't believe it. I said, how does Yelp make any money out of this? How do they keep alive? And they do it.
It's through advertising, through local business advertising, as well as,
There's always a profit motive somewhere. Well, it has to be.
You got to sustain.
It makes it work. Without the profit, it's going to die, correct?
Yeah.
And then you begin to expand your experience to other markets.
Yes. About 2 years in.
But different markets, yet there's some similarities in every one, correct?
Yes. Yelp hires a community manager in each city that helps build the community and also educates business owners. So they're the ones writing the newsletters, creating the partnerships, doing the local PR, all that kind of stuff. So multi-leveled, but they all sort of hold it down for their city.
And they have, what do you have, 13 cities now, 18 cities?
There's 18, in the Southeast Mid-Atlantic
in the region
I'm involved with, yes.
But that's a lot of people. So you've got 18 people reporting to you, correctly?
Technically, yeah. So I have eight or nine direct reports, and then I oversee somebody that oversees a team.
This is enormous, correct?
Yeah, I mean, there's never a dull moment. That's
I
for
can
sure.
believe that. Well, we're going to take a dull moment here to take a break, and we'll be right back with Tara Lewis, or Tara L, as she's known.
Are you retired or soon will be? Is your will up to date? Don't want to leave a mess for your family to clean up. I'm attorney Mike Collins, the guy who sends you those invitations to my estate planning seminar. I'll teach you how to save taxes, avoid probate, protect your heirs from lawsuits, bankruptcy, even the divorce court. Keep your money in your family with our innovative Reservoir Trust. Watch the mail for your invitation. Tuition's free when you register online at MikeCollins.com. That's MikeCollins.com.
You're listening to Our Town with Andy Ockershausen. Brought to you by Best Bark Communications.
This is Andy Ockershausen, and we're talking to Tara Lewis, who's the marketing director, Mid-Atlantic for Yelp. And I probably didn't explain it properly, but Tara entered the business in sports at Home Team Sports, which became Comcast SportsNet, and Tara worked there as a receptionist and impressed everybody. And I admit I was particularly impressed with her enthusiasm and the fact that she's different, and she started at the bottom but wanted to get ahead. And that's what I tell so many young people. Wherever you get in the door, get in and work hard.
Check your ego.
It pays off.
Yeah.
You did more than just work. You knew the people. You befriended so many people all over the building. Mm-hmm. And I urge young people to do that all the time. Start at the bottom, because that's where you're going to be when you get finished. That's where you end up. So what this job and this opportunity with you with Yelp has changed the way that people, younger people, continue to evolve as spectators as part of life.
Yeah.
What do they do? Where they go? What they eat and what they drink? And you played a major role. Yelp has. Is that correct?
Yes. I mean, it allows you to become a more savvy consumer. I think, word of mouth marketing has always existed, and people trust other people to get their opinions on things. And so this is word of mouth marketing, word of mouth amplified, essentially. And hopefully, because we have so many users, millions of users that are on our mobile app as well as the desktop every single month. These are now eyeballs that can hit all these businesses. I mean, if I'm traveling or if I'm new to an area, I don't know what's around me right away. So how am I going to figure that out?
That's for any traveler, right? Not just for
yeah,
you.
but even, we want to really celebrate local, but let's say you don't even know, let's say you didn't like your current dentist and you need to figure out, I need to find a new one. Who are people saying? Of course, you have your own network, but then if you have an amplified network of people that have no other incentive to share their experience other than giving back, I mean, you definitely can see trends and reviews when you look at business listings.
Well, how about this list that you have of Yelpers? Do you keep that list? Is that something that you use when you're going to have an affair or something to notify your Yelpers?
No, well, we have it's called like unique visitors. So it's how many people are coming to the site or the app, every single month or every single quarter. That's not like I have like a list that I can download. But, when we have events, of course, people RSVP, lots of people RSVP. And then we, allow people in, and then some people get waitlisted. And then we'll have a list that we'll use for events. But, we have also our local Yelp is the newsletter that goes out that highlights the best of in each city, whether it's best of burgers or dog parks or whatever it is. It definitely focuses each week on different areas of that city, and that has a large subscriber base as well. But that's for readers, and then the active contributors and the unique visitors, those are actually on the site in the mobile, writing and adding pictures and
But
stuff
you
like
don't
that.
Charge people for that.
No.
Nobody pays.
No. It's open for anyone to use.
Right. But anyone that's on your list or that you're permitted to come, you can't let the whole world come.
To an event, yes.
Yeah, to an event, right.
Yes,
You
and
gotta
of
have a
course,
list.
hopefully people that have using real names and real pictures and are actively on the site and are great role models on the site. Of course, that's the ideal user. We have millions of people, so you get a nice range. But that's, the ideal sort of person that's using the site.
Well, the one that was impressive to Janice and I was last year at the old Embassy Row Hotel.
Yeah.
That rooftop party was sensational.
Yeah,
and everybody there was so turned out, well dressed. it was a really classy affair.
Yes,
And
Kimberly.
we were really impressed.
Yeah, and then what's amazing when you go to an event like that, it has 1,000 people, and you see, Yelp staff, you're thinking that we all did this, and it's just one person, Kimberly Van Santos. She's our DC community director, and she organized everything. She has having another one coming up in October, but it's amazing. We show up to help her actually physically staff it, but in terms of the organization and the pitching and the placement and all that, from start to finish, it's just one person.
All the people that are in charge that you have. Well, you have a person like this in every one of your markets, correct?
Yes.
That can take charge and put on an event.
Yes, we're lucky in this area. We happen to have a few. We have somebody in Northern Virginia, just outside of the Maryland suburbs of DC, and then also in Baltimore. So we're a little bit luckier than some cities. Some cities only have one person, but we have a large population here.
And you only have one in Baltimore?
One in Baltimore, yeah.
But you've taken on all these other cities, which has changed your life and your travel schedule, correct?
Oh, yeah. I travel a lot.
Well, but that's amazing, Tara. When we're talking about something that's only been probably 7 years, is it this now?
Yes.
That's incredible.
7 years this month for me.
It's 7. We remember because that's when Janice started her business 7 years ago.
Yeah.
6 years ago. It'll be 7 in January. And both of you started the business.
A lot happens in 7 years, doesn't it? It's like a blur.
Right. It was great. But Yelp is so big now that it transcends what I thought it was, and it's a huge company, correct?
Absolutely.
Is it not worldwide?
Yes, it's international.
And you all started with an
Asia,
idea.
Latin America. Yes, and that's why it's so important to pursue ideas that you believe in, right?
Absolutely. And you worked at it too, correct?
Yes.
It's sort of like Musk.
It took time.
Think out of the box.
Yeah, it wasn't just like a sprint to the finish. It's like very logical and thoughtful about how we approach, our business. And even, big and small decisions are very thoughtful from everybody from the top down. Nothing's done just frivolously or just for money. It's very thoughtful because we want both business owners and users to have the best experience they can while being fair to both.
And you depict it beautifully, but we knew that you would.
Thank you.
And so what happened to your sports desire? Is that still there somewhere?
I'm
In our
passionate.
town?
There's a little itch back there. There's something that's thrilling about working in sports every day and coming in and talking about it. And there's a certain culture there, too, that's just like, it's fun just to shoot the breeze and talk some trash. And
Absolutely.
It's a great culture. And I definitely I still keep track of not all the sports
Well,
I
you
used
still
to.
have a lot of pals
everywhere.
at Comcast SportsNet.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Always will have. You made friends for life.
Yeah, but there's, like sports, the story behind each athlete's exciting. Sports wouldn't be interesting if it wasn't the fact that, like, at any moment anybody can win, or else why would we watch? So it's like any single match, any sort of
looking for a
competition.
tie.
Yeah, it can happen.
If I look for a tie, I go to Nordstrom.
There you go. But I'm ching.
Well, Tara, I can't thank you enough. You're a special, special person.
Thank you.
And that's why we want you to be a part of our town, broadcast, because you are a big part of our town. When I grew up, our town was a small little place, but now it's worldwide, and you are worldwide.
Thank you, Andy.
And we are so proud of you and everything that you've accomplished. And I hope that all these people in San Francisco take note of how great you are, because the Washington area does. And
Thank
you, Tara Lewis, and thank you, Yelp, and we'll give you the future when we get it.
Thanks, Andy.
You've been listening to Our Town Season 1 with your host, Andy Ockershausen. New Our Town podcast episodes are released each Tuesday and Thursday. We welcome your comments and suggestions on how you like the show or who you'd like to hear from next. Catch us on Facebook at Our Town DC or visit our website at OurTownDC.com. Our special thanks to WMAL Radio in Washington, D.C. for hosting our podcasts.